watching live or recorded later on. Today, we have one of ADPI's own, Kelly Madden, here to talk about her most recent success in taking the MSTRA, ADPI's MSTRA course, which, if you don't know what that is, it's ADPI's Military Short-Term Rental Academy. She recently took it, and her husband, Rich, acquired their first short-term rental / Airbnb property. So without further ado, Kelly, tell us a little bit about you, and we're happy to have you here. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Hannah. So I am ADPI's Member Success Manager. I've been with ADPI for 4 years now, and it has been amazing. I am a 16-year Air Force spouse, and we are currently stationed in Columbus, Mississippi. So while we got here about a year ago, we just decided to go for after I took the Military Short-Term Rental Academy, we decided to go for a midterm rental / short-term rental here in town, because we do live where there's a schoolhouse for pilots. So that was our main goal. So that's kind of what we're up to right now.
Awesome. Well, to start with, can you tell us a little bit about your background, your all's background, and what your background and what led you to really ultimately start exploring real estate investing?
Sure. So Rich and I started exploring it back in I want to say it was 2011. We actually took a Rich Dad Poor Dad course on real estate investing. And while it was good, it was very expensive. And, this was, of course, long before ADPI. And so we took that course, kept having babies, and just kind of sat on that for a while. We did a live-in flip for our very first property when Rich was a first lieutenant. So that was back in 2008. And I don't know that we really made any money on that property, but it ended up selling for cash. We did some upgrades on the kitchen and the baths, and it turned out really, really well. So that was our first experience. And then we finally started investing, being really what's the word I'm looking for? Forward about it. And that was 2017. So we lived in Fort Walton Beach, Florida at the time. We picked up a long-term rental in Crestview, Florida, which we still have that one actually. So it has been a really, really good one. And that was once again, Rich finally said, okay, enough, because I had been stuck in analysis paralysis for so long that he was like, all right, we're doing this. So I cried. I cried at our first closing.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was just such a huge thing, right? I was like, what if this doesn't work? What if we have, really bad tenants? What if they destroy the house? You have all of these what ifs running through your head, right? And this was before I found ADPI as well. So I didn't really, there was bigger pockets, but I didn't feel ready. I don't know that I ever really would have felt ready, except for when I found ADPI, and that definitely helped.
That's awesome. So our next question, tell us a little bit about your experience with ADPI's MSTRA and how it led you to getting your first STR property.
Okay, so at the encouragement of our sales director, Chris Lockwood, and
shout out Chris.
And Kevin Brenner, our fearless leader of the podcast and our director of marketing, I decided to take the Military Short-Term Rental Academy because I had mentioned that I was interested forever. And finally they were like, okay, enough. Stop talking about it. Just do it. So I started the academy and joined, I think, the third cohort. And let me tell you, like, the academy in itself is amazing. The workbook, it was just incredible. But the cohort was a whole nother level. Having a small group of people that are going through the lessons with you and keeping you accountable and having discussions and the coaching was just really, really good. And it gave me, watching other people take action and having that close-knit group really helped me have the confidence to really go for it. And Rich didn't even take it with me. I just did it myself. And after we were done, I was like, okay, let's do it. And it was just an incredible experience. And Taylor Wing too. He is awesome. And the coaches, they just absolutely make it. And I'm so glad I did it.
That's awesome. I love that. The cohorts are definitely important with someone who's ready to take action now. Just having people surrounding you and seeing other people win, and then you striving your goals each week. So that's awesome. Okay, so you took MSTRA. Now what? So that led you. So what were you thinking? You knew you wanted to buy an Airbnb close by to where you're living right now? Right?
Yes.
So, okay. So now kind of go over how that worked out. Like, did you work with an agent? What lender? What did you decide to go with as far as like your lending options? And then, zoning in on that property, and how did you furnish it? So if you could go over a little bit about just like the whole process of now acquiring that property all through, like renting it out for the first time, getting your first guest. I know that's a lot. Just
no, it's
go
good.
too in depth, but
It's just like, I might stumble through this a little, but
no, you're good.
When we did use an agent here in town, and her name is Jana, and she is also a personal friend of ours, and she was fantastic and being so patient with us trying to find a property, because there were a lot of, there's of course a lot of factors. Running the numbers is a number one thing you need to do. If the numbers don't work, you don't have a deal, or you shouldn't have a deal, because you shouldn't force them, because that's going to put you in a position where you're going to lose money. And that's the exact opposite of what we want to do, right? So we worked with Brad Osterman from the ADPI lending team. We've worked with Brad on a few deals now. We've worked with him on refinances, purchases, and he is wonderful. Also very patient with me and my questions, and sometimes I get impatient. He is very good at keeping our communication open. So we kind of ran into a lot when we were first looking at properties. We actually found a place closer to town that was really, really good. It would have worked out perfectly. Except that we found out that Columbus, Mississippi, so the city of Columbus has restrictions, where if you are doing a short-term rental, you have to go through the board, the county board or the city board, to in order to get permission, and they don't always grant it. And you have to notify any neighbor that's within 40, I want to say it's 40 yards. And they have to sign off on it. So if anybody disagrees, you can't.
Yeah.
There's of course people that do it anyway and don't go through it. And I don't recommend that, because you run into issues of
Later on, possibly.
yeah, it's just not the way to go. If you're, and it and this was my fault, because in the academy, Kevin absolutely foot stomps, making sure that you go over all of these rules and regulations for having an STR in whatever city you're buying in. And I just assumed, because Columbus is so small, that there wouldn't be anything. And that was dumb, because, small towns people tend to complain and so just because it's a small town doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so it's really, really important to make sure that that is not going to be a hindrance to what you need to do. One of the ways to kind of not really get around that, but to make sure that if things change and you're pushed out of the STR business, you have to run the numbers on different scenarios. So we had to make sure that not only would this work as a short-term rental, but we ran the numbers for midterm rental and for long-term rental. Because if for some reason we need to pivot, we need to be able to still afford the mortgage. So that was also something that was really prevalent in the academy, to where getting those numbers where they need to be was...
You have a plan B, C, and D.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to have an exit plan. Like, that's just the way it works.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about, okay, so you're renting out to, your target audience is pilots in training in Columbus, correct? At the base there.
So yes.
No, just tell us a little bit of it. You can just cover a little bit about how you furnish the property. Like, did you have a budget, and were you able to stick to that budget? Just tell us a little about that.
So we started out as crash pad, so midterm rental. And we would still like to continue with that. We're still figuring out advertising for that. And it's a smaller pool of people and potential guests. So we didn't have a whole lot of bites to begin with. And we just got this thing on the market in what was that? Mid-August. And so we decided, while we were figuring out, all the things, the SEO, trying to get the property advertised the correct way, that we would pivot to short-term rental for a little bit, just to get somebody in there and to really be able to help with expenses. So we did that, and within just a couple hours of advertising, we got our first guest in. So it's been really, really good, and we were able to furnish, and this was not to talk about the academy again, but Kevin talks about being able to, you can buy brand new furniture, but there's also the ability to go on Facebook Marketplace, and there's also thrift stores, and there's
OfferUp is another good one. OfferUp, have you used that yet before?
What is it?
OfferUp, it's an app that you can download.
I have not. I've been on Poshmark, but I haven't been on OfferUp.
OfferUp, we love OfferUp.
That's awesome. So I found a ton on Facebook Marketplace, as far as furniture and We had friends of ours that were also, kind of getting rid of
Mhm.
furniture that was in good condition. We didn't do anything that was in bad position. Like, we don't want to put the really worn stuff in there, that just looks bad. And some of it needed to be redone, which is fine. Like, I'm literally picking up a dresser today that, needs the top redone and needs some staining, but like, it's $50. So that's
Yeah.
absolutely something I can do. Um, we stayed really close to budget. We may have gone over just a little bit because I tend to over prepare, but it didn't put us in any kind of compromising position.
Sure.
So, um, furnishing was, I don't want to say it was easy, but we got it done. And of course, Rich was an absolute godsend during that because anything that needed assembling, he was like, okay, we're gonna
They're doing
get it
it.
done. While we're sitting there assembling furniture or desks, he would have like 3 done by the time I got 1 done. So
He's a master at assembling. There you
oh
go.
my
Side
God,
hustle
yes.
for Rich.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, so to wrap up, we have 2 questions left. So the next question is, let me pop it up on here. How would you describe switching back? So switching gears back to a little bit about the academy. How would you describe your level of support and resources you received from the community, the cohort, coaches, everyone?
Oh God, that's a hard question because not because it wasn't there, but just because it was everywhere. Being able to have what was then the Telegram chats and being able to ask questions in the community and the mastermind and being able to get those answers from coaches and from the experienced STR hosts was just completely you can't, it was invaluable. Like, you can't put a price on it. And one thing that ADPI and the courses have going for it is that although we're growing, like, we're focused on helping military members and their families and with creating their financial freedom, and that is our target audience. So it's different in the way that this community is specific, and it is our absolute goal to help military members. And that community is just amazing. And having people that are going through the same things that you're going through and dealing with finances, or specifically, it's a different breed, and we are so grateful for our entire community, and you don't find a better one.
Sure. Love that. All right, last question, and then we're done. So can you tell us a little bit about your future plans in real estate investing and how the platform will be a part of that journey?
Good question.
You're like, I'm just trying to survive this.
We're very early in our short-term rental journey, but we've also been, we've obviously had long-term rentals. We've been a part of a few syndications, both construction and multifamily. And, we've just kind of dipped our toes in just about, in just a few things. But I think we're hoping to get more STR properties. We would really like to get one in more of a vacation spot. I have my eye on North Carolina because it's home, but we have a ton of other places that we can really dive into. And once we get steady and structured with this STR, I think that it can definitely make things more possible. And we're looking on expanding that and just continuing to build, because this life and ADPI have provided us and taught us so much, and being able to create this financial independence, and it's what we've been working toward. And I'm so grateful that I originally found ADPI by when I was working as a virtual assistant. Someone mentioned them and was like, they're looking for an intern for blog writing. And I reached out to Jill and I was like, I'd love to do this. And that's how I started. So I started
Awesome.
as an intern, went to community manager, went to member success manager, and here we are.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And as far as the platform goes, I'm so excited that we have ADPI Campus up now, and it's on Circle. And I just love it. It is, we're still growing it and we're still getting things structured, but the absolute potential and having our own community off of Facebook is incredible. And I absolutely recommend it to anybody. We've got a great new course out that's boot camp to help you figure out which way you want to go and how you can really, really get started. And we have just tons of new things coming up. And the team is working so hard. And, we have an ADPI Con in October. I can't wait. It is.
I know. If you haven't bought your ticket yet, buy your ticket.
Yes.
Come to San Antonio, where I'm at, and attend. It's going to be a 3-day conference, and it's pack loaded. I think we have this schedule out now, so I've been posting it on Facebook, Instagram. So check that if you want to look at the schedule before you buy your ticket to see. We have some awesome speakers coming, and
yes, Hal Elrod. And the author of Miracle Morning.
Yeah.
And we have Rod Cleave coming in. We just have so much. It's just going to be incredible. I'm ready. I can't wait. We've been planning so much all year. Like ever since last year, we've been planning this. So it's going to be incredible.
I know. Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for coming on here and telling the community a little bit about what you've been up to. And we hope to see you on here maybe in the future again to talk more about more STRs that you've acquired, hopefully.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening in. And we'll see you again soon.